Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Today we are going to start a play that is entitled as Progress. It has been written by Saint John Irwin. It is a one-act play, and characters include Professor Henry Corey, who is a scientist, Mrs. Meldon, who is his sister, Hannah, a servant. Students, this play shows two viewpoints regarding war, and these views have been presented quite convincingly. This play has been written in the context of World War I, in which thousands of men were killed, injured, maimed. Many children became orphan, many women became widows, thousands of mothers became childless, and there was a huge destruction. Now, students, there are two types of people. On one hand, we can notice some powers who want wars to continue because they have their own selfish motives to fulfill. These powers include the owners of weapon making industries, then the politicians involved in power politics, etc. They are cruel people who don't have any concern with humanity or the sanctity of human life and property. They are the ones who just want their own benefits, their own powers, increase in their resources and wealth. On the other hand, we can notice the people who are against war. These are common people who suffer, who get hurt by wars, who make sacrifices. These are the people who want peace. So students, you can notice that this play is an anti-war play, and it shows the conflict between these two opposite viewpoints, one in favor of war, the other against it. Professor Corey is the person who favors war, whereas Mrs. Meldon opposes it, and she presents an anti-war view. Students, when the play starts, we come to know that Professor Henry Corey is present in a remote village, and he has been there for a long time. He has been busy in making experiments for inventing a bomb. And today he has succeeded in inventing the bomb, and he's celebrating his success, and he's so much absorbed in that celebration that he forgets to bring his sister from the station. Apparently, he seems a cruel and lonely person who has nothing to do with any other person or their tragedies or their griefs, etc. He is a very selfish and cruel man. All around him, we notice different articles related to his experiment are lying here and there. A flask is there containing something boiling inside. On the walls, there are diagrams of different sections of the bomb, and the process of bomb making is continued. Now, students, he forgets to bring his younger sister from the station, and she keeps waiting over there in bitter cold for long. At last, she comes home herself, but the brother remains busy in his laboratory. Mrs. Melton is quite graceful, sober, dignified woman in her early 40s. She is a widow, and she appears so appealing throughout the play. Today she is in mourning. She is dressed up in black because it is her son Eddie's anniversary today. Corey tells her that the reason of his not going to the station is his success in his experiment. Mrs. Meldon's character shows that she has lost her young son in war, the son whom she must have brought up quite lovingly and had expected a lot from him about his bright future, about his bright life ahead. Her husband could not tolerate the grief of their son's death, and he died too because he could not tolerate that grief. And in this way, she is, means Mrs. Meldon, she is left quite alone in life. Today, she has been told by a boy of Eddie's battalion that Eddie died after being hit by a bomb and his body was completely mutilated and that could not even be buried properly. इस कदर मस्क हो चुकी थी उसकी डेड बॉडी कि उसको सही तौर पे दफन भी नहीं किया जा सकता था. Now this revelation enhances her grief as it is really agonizing for her to imagine her beautiful son dying in such a miserable way. Professor Corey tells her sister that he has invented a weapon that will make war even more expeditious, which will end war so quickly. But Mrs. Meldon becomes excited, thinking that perhaps Corey has invented something to abolish war. But she gets so sorrowful when she comes to know that her brother has invented something that can destroy the whole city in one blow. He intends to offer that bomb to the British government, but in case that does not pay according to his demand, then he can also sell it out to some other country. Here, students, we can notice the extent of his selfishness and cruelty. He was a person who was not loyal to his country. He was not loyal to any other person, any other human being. He is a person who is just thinking about his own profit. He gives this logic to justify himself that they should make war so much horrible that people must think deeply before starting a war, and no country could dare wage a war again. Mrs. Meldon tries to make him understand that his son's death took place due to such a bomb. She represents all the peace-loving women who can be seen everywhere among the common masses. She says that bomb does not consider to which nation its victim belongs. She gives a very impressive speech, very emotional. She tries to convince her brother about demolishing that bomb. When he tells him that he had the formula in his brain, then Mrs. Meldon kills him with a knife, thus ending the play quite dramatically. Students' conflict is the core of the play, and here we find the conflict between two ideas. Professor Corey represents those people who want wars to continue for their own selfish interests. Such people include weapon makers, politicians who wish to gain power through wars. Mrs. Meldon represents those peace-loving people who are anti-war and who make sacrifices and who are hurt through wars, and that is why they are anti-war. The play is ironical, and first of all, the title of the play is full of irony. For Professor Corey, progress is the peace obtained through violence and destruction. Though he himself tries to justify his stance, but we do not agree with him at all. We do not agree with his idea of progress. We do not agree with his idea of peace. Thus, we can notice that title is ironic. How is it ironic? It is just opposite to our expectations. When we read the title, we start imagining that the play will be regarding the advancement or betterment of society and humanity, but in reality, it is related to war and it exposes the faulty thinking about progress. It poses a question: what is considered true progress? Does progress mean the abolition of war, or does it mean the invention of war-enhancing weapons? What is progress in the true sense of the word? It makes us think deeply about this issue. We must think about the fact what true progress is and what it should be. True progress should mean the betterment of humanity, and the betterment of humanity does not lie in wars. It lies in peace. The end of the play is dramatic and makes us think about the mental condition of the grief-stricken man. It leaves a long-lasting effect on the readers. With the help of just three characters, the playwright has demonstrated all the horrors of war, and it has convinced us about the fact that we all must say no to wars.